His hand was on the back of my neck before I could take another step. The warmth of his palm, the press of his thumb against my skin, and the way his breath swept across my cheek made my knees betray me. My chest heaved, my lips parted, and I could taste the forbidden in the air between us. He looked at me as if I was already his, as if every inch of me belonged to him. But I did not. I belonged to his father. Before I tell you how I got here, I need to pause for a moment and say something important. To all my subscribers, thank you from the bottom of my heart for riding through these stories with me. To the new viewers, welcome. I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button, because it fuels me, it keeps me going, it keeps this channel alive. Please, engage. Drop your thoughts in the comments as soon as you hear something that makes your jaw drop or your heart race, because this one will make you feel both. Now let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Emily. I am 31 years old, and until a year ago, I lived a quiet life in a small town in upstate New York. Then Richard came along. He was 58, confident, wealthy, and unlike any man I had ever met. He was not just a person, he was a presence. When Richard walked into a room, it felt as if the air shifted to make space for him. I thought he saw something in me that others had overlooked. We married after only 8 months of knowing each other. I moved into his sprawling Connecticut estate, complete with white marble floors, manicured gardens, and a glass staircase that gleamed like something out of a magazine. But inside all that beauty, I was lonely. Richard was more married to his work than he was to me. His touches became rare, his words short, and his eyes always somewhere else. Richard had never spoken much about his son. I knew he was from his first marriage, lived abroad for years, and that father and son had a strained relationship. Richard described him as a reckless charmer, who could not stay in one place for long. What Richard never told me was how it would feel to meet him in person. I expected to see Richard, but instead there was a tall man, with damp hair and a duffel bag slung over one shoulder. He looked like trouble wrapped in perfect skin, deep brown hair that curled slightly at the ends, sharp cheekbones, and eyes that scanned me slowly as if memorizing. "You must be Emily," he said, setting his bag down. His voice had a lazy drawl to it, smooth and unhurried. "Yes, and you are?" "Liam, Richard's son." That was the moment something inside me shifted. It was wrong. I knew it instantly, but there was something in the way he smiled, as if he already knew secrets about me I had not yet spoken aloud. Liam stayed in the guest wing for what was supposed to be a week. Richard was away on a business trip for most of it, leaving me to entertain his son. Our conversations were harmless at first, dinners in the kitchen, casual chats in the living room, but there was always that current under the surface. He noticed things Richard never did. The way my hair fell over my left shoulder, the fact that I always touched the rim of my wine glass before drinking. He asked questions no one else had bothered to ask me in years. One evening, we sat by the fire. I was reading, he was scrolling through his phone. Without looking up, he said, "You are too young to be this lonely." The words hit me like a knife and a caress at the same time. It was 3 nights later. Richard was in Chicago. The rain had not stopped since morning, and the house felt like it was holding its breath. I came downstairs in a silk robe, only intending to grab tea before bed. Liam was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, wearing sweatpants, and a t-shirt that clung to his chest in a way that made it impossible not to notice. He looked at me for a long moment before speaking. "Do you know how hard it is to pretend I do not see you the way I do?" My pulse roared in my ears. "Liam," I started, but my voice failed. He took 2 slow steps toward me, his eyes locked on mine. "Say my name again, Liam." This time, it came out like a confession. His hand reached up, fingers curling around the back of my neck. His touch was warm, firm, almost claiming. He lowered his head until his lips brushed mine. Not a kiss, just a question hanging in the air. My answer was in the way I leaned in. When his mouth finally met mine, it was not gentle, it was hungry, desperate. His hand slid to my waist, pulling me flush against him. The tea, the robe, the rain outside, they all disappeared. We did not make it to my bedroom. The marble counter became our stage, and the storm outside roared like it was in on our secret. Every touch, Every gasp, every breath, was tangled in the knowledge that this was dangerous, forbidden, irreversible. When it was over, I stood there, robe barely clinging to my shoulders, his hands still on my hips. Neither of us spoke. The sound of rain was the only witness. That night, when I lay in bed alone, I knew I had crossed a line I could never uncross. The next morning, the house felt different, not in the way it looked or sounded, but in the way my skin remembered every place Liam had touched. I could still feel his fingers trailing along my waist, the press of his lips against my neck. I told myself it was a one-time mistake, but deep down I already knew that was a lie. Liam was the first to break the silence. He acted as though nothing had happened, but every time he walked past me, his arm brushed mine just enough to send a spark through me. At breakfast, he poured my coffee without asking, his fingers grazing mine when he handed me the cup. It was madness. Richard came home 2 days later, oblivious. He greeted Liam with a quick handshake, and me with a perfunctory kiss on the cheek. I studied his face for any sign of suspicion, but there was nothing. In his world, loyalty was a given, from his employees, from his friends, and apparently from his wife. The three of us had dinner together that night. Richard dominated the conversation, talking about a new property deal in Miami. Liam said little, but when our eyes met across the table, it felt like there was an entire conversation happening in the silence. That night, lying in bed beside Richard, I could not stop thinking about Liam. Every inhale, every exhale, every time Richard rolled over and turned his back to me, I felt the space between us grow larger, and the pull toward Liam grow stronger. Over the next 2 weeks, Liam and I became experts in stolen moments. A lingering touch in the hallway when Richard's back was turned, a whisper in the kitchen that made my knees weaken. One afternoon, when Richard was in his home office, on a conference call, Liam passed behind me in the library, his fingers brushing the inside of my arm. It was barely a second, but it sent a current straight through me. The risk was part of the intoxication. Every time we were alone, the air between us felt charged, dangerous. One evening, when Richard went out to meet a client, Liam appeared at my bedroom door. He did not speak. He just stepped inside, closed the door, and pulled me into his arms. The kiss was urgent, almost angry, as if he hated the space we had to keep between us in public. "You think about me when you are with him?" he asked, his breath hot against my ear. I hesitated. Yeah, that was all it took. We ended up tangled in the sheets, breathing each other in like it was the last time. It was after one of those encounters that Liam said something that changed the way I saw him. "You belong to me," he whispered, his hand resting possessively on my thigh. My breath caught. "No, Liam, I belong to him." He cut me off. His eyes darkened. "No, you are only with him on paper. Here with me, you are mine." I should have been angry. I should have told him this was wrong, dangerous, but instead, a part of me felt wanted in a way Richard had never made me feel. The closest we came to being caught happened during a Saturday lunch. Richard had gone to take a call in the study, leaving Liam and me in the dining room. He reached over and took my hand under the table, his thumbs stroking my skin. I should have pulled away, but I did not. Then Richard's voice came from the doorway. "What are you two talking about?" We jerked our hands apart so fast that my glass tipped over, spilling water across the table. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure Richard could hear it. "Nothing," I said quickly, "just asking Liam about his travel plans." Richard looked between us, his eyes narrowing for a fraction of a second, before he sat down. I could not tell if he suspected something, but the air was heavy for the rest of the meal. After that, Liam became bolder. He would kiss me in dark corners of the house, press me against walls when we heard Richard's car pull into the driveway, as if testing how close we could get to disaster without falling over the edge. But I could feel the line between thrill and danger thinning. I began to wonder how much longer we could keep playing this game, before everything came crashing down, and then Liam made a proposal that shook me to my core, one that would push us past the point of no return. It was late on a Tuesday night when Liam came to me with the proposal. Richard had gone out of town again, and I was curled up on the couch in the den, pretending to read a book I had not turned a page of in 20 minutes. Liam stood in the doorway, watching me with that same unshakable confidence that had drawn me in from the start. "We cannot keep doing this," he said, stepping into the room. My heart clenched. "I know, then come with me," I looked up at him, confused. What are you talking about? Leave him, Liam said plainly. Pack a bag, get in my car and never look back. We can go wherever we want. California, Europe, anywhere. You do not have to be his anymore. You can be mine. His words were intoxicating, reckless and terrifying all at once. A part of me wanted to say yes, to burn every bridge, and run toward the heat and danger of what we had. But another part of me saw the disaster waiting on the other side of that decision. Over the next few days, I noticed Richard watching me differently. His questions were casual on the surface, but had an edge to them. How have you been spending your afternoon? Did Liam say where he was going earlier? One evening, as we sat in the living room, Richard asked, "Do you like having him here?" I froze. Of course. Why? No reason, Richard said, but his eyes lingered on me for a moment too long before returning to his laptop. The breaking point came the following weekend. Richard invited Liam and me to join him for a charity gala in the city. The night was polished and glittering, but beneath the surface, tension buzzed like static. On the drive home, Richard was silent. When we reached the house, he went straight to the study. I was about to follow him upstairs when Liam caught my arm in the hallway. He pulled me close, pressing his lips to my ear. Do you see how little he cares? Leave with me tonight. I am serious, Emily. This is our chance. Before I could respond, Richard's voice thundered from the study door. What the hell is going on here? We froze. Richard stepped forward, his eyes flicking between us, his face a storm. I knew it, he said, his voice low and dangerous. I could feel it. The little disappearances. Tell me, Emily, how long have you been sleeping with my son? The world tilted. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. It is not what you think, I began, but Liam cut in. It is exactly what you think, Liam said, his chin lifted in defiance. She is not yours, Dad. She never was. Richard's face went cold, his voice like steel. Get out of my house, both of you. I turned to Liam, but he just smirked, as if this was the outcome he wanted all along. Come on, Emily, he said, holding out his hand. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Liam did not love me. He loved the chaos, the rebellion, the power of taking something from his father. I was not the prize, I was the weapon. I stepped back from him. No, I whispered. Liam's smirk faltered. Richard's expression shifted from rage to something unreadable. Without another word, Liam walked out, slamming the door behind him. Richard and I never recovered. He filed for divorce within a month. The settlement left me with enough to start over, but not enough to forget the cost. Sometimes late at night, I still think about Liam, not with longing, but with a strange mix of shame and clarity. He touched me like he owned me, but in the end, neither of them ever truly did.